Estaron con enetcomputers.com. De enetcomputers.com. Whatever. Otro video para ti hoy. This video is going to be about that device right there, which I just got a LG. I think it's 37 inch. The lady said it was a 47 inch over the phone, but I don't think that's 47 inches. I think that's a 37 inch. Whatever. It wasn't that heavy. I carried it myself. That's recycled. She said it doesn't work. She said it might need like maybe a power board or some board that costs a lot of money, or I don't know. She said it was 5 or 6 years old, no scratches. It's in very good condition. However, it doesn't power on. So whenever I receive televisions, I don't recycle the old school tube style. They have dangerous toxins in them. They've got mercury and other metals that you probably don't want to fuck with. Now, there are some scrappers on YouTube that recycle tube style televisions. I would definitely study that before you ever open up a television. They have toxic levels of mercury. And where I live in Colorado, I have not found one recycler. It's not like I sit there and have a secret list of recyclers, but from my understanding, searching on the internet, I have not found one recycler that will accept the old cathode ray tubes, the CRTs. None of them will accept them. They do have. Excuse me. I have a customer that I'm trying to kill multiple birds with one stone. I have another customer I'm helping out. They edited a text document with LibreOffice and they accidentally deleted out part of it. And then they saved the document and they left out the other part that they wanted. And so I tried to remote connect, and it doesn't look like we're going to salvage, but they are performing a system restore, so I have to make sure that I pay attention to them. Now, as far as I don't know why I'm getting so distracted. I don't know why it is. Maybe I don't want to digress too much about CRTs. I don't fuck with them because I haven't found any recyclers that will accept them. So if I take them up, if I part them out, what about the tubes? Nobody's going to want the tubes. You know what I mean? There is conductive metals in them, no doubt about that. You know what I mean? But copper. There is copper in the old cathode ray tube televisions, copper, that you could recycle or as a scrapper and make money off of it. But I've looked into that, and they're dangerous. They're even dangerous to fuck with. You can get easily electrocuted with the old tube style televisions. Same with these. All right. So this guy, whenever I receive them, the first thing I try is the old ESD. So on this television, I will show it to you. The power button is actually in the back on the right. So now it's down there. You should be able to see it. I might be able to zoom in too. It's down on, it would be your left-hand side. Down there. Okay, I did not prepare for this video, so I don't do that. I freestyle. That's dumb shit. Scripting crap and making everything fake. Making it look like you're, infallible. Let me see if I can zoom in. But that's what you got on YouTube. You got all these fake fuckers that they script everything. Everything is edited. It makes it look as if they're Superman or Superwoman and they're perfect and they never make mistakes and they know everything, which is fucking bullshit and utter nonsense in reality. And a lot of them are Americans, but a lot of Americans are fake. Nah, that's not gonna work. I can try to pan down. There we go. Is that as far as I can go? Yeah, it looks like that's as far as I can go. What can I do here? Obviously I can move it back. I'm not fucking with my camera. I'm not moving the camera around. I've fucked around with the camera already, as enough as it is. And if you're offended by that, fuck you. I don't care. So let me zoom in, and then I can probably move the television once I get it zoomed in all the way. There we go. There, right. So where I pointed down there, you should be able to see the power button. Right down there, right about there. So you just press in the power button. That's the first thing I do. I unplug. I don't plug in the power to it because of electrostatic discharge. I just press the power button for 30 seconds, and then I plug it in to a power outlet, and then I try that. Most times when I get televisions like this, they don't work. But I just go ahead and I try whatever I can. She left me the remote. The remote is in really good condition, although I do clean these up before I sell them. If I have to part out this television, I can get at least, I would say, 10 to 20 bucks for the remote. So it depends on the newer, the remote, the more money sometimes you can receive. Because of eBay and USPS shipping costs are so high nowadays, then I could probably only make $5 profit off this remote, believe it or not. So, but that's just capitalism, you know what I'm saying? Alright, let my customer respond, so just give me a second. Okay, so they just kicked off system restore, and that could be a while. Windows 7. Okay, so I've got the remote. I just throw in everything in here. Yes, I can sell these. Oh, it's rebooting now. So it's rebooting. Now, is it worth your time to resell a remote? For me, it is, because that's just how I roll. I've had to purchase remotes myself, and so I know what it's like to have an older television or whatever electronic device, and I cannot find the remote for it. And sure enough, I can find it on eBay or Amazon. So, but is it worth the time to make only $5 profit after the eBay fees, PayPal, USPS shipping? A remote, this is a small one, so I can ship it in a really small envelope, and I just put one, I take a square piece of bubble wrap that's about this big, and I wrap it, and then I put it in an envelope. And I'll be honest, I get the envelopes at the Dollar Tree, which is just a couple blocks away. Now there is Uline. If you sell a lot of items, you can go to Uline and buy in bulk, and it's probably just like going to the Dollar Tree. But the Dollar Tree envelopes are real good, actually, and I've never had a complaint about any using the envelopes. But I do wrap this in bubble wrap. I don't have to do that, but I do it anyways, and I've never had a complaint. But is it worth your time? Now, if you get these in bulk, if you got 100 of these, and if they're new enough, and clean them up, test them, I can make another video showing you how to test batteries. If obviously the television doesn't work, but I don't want to digress too much. All right, let's move on. But I do sell these, so at the very least I'll make $5. All right, so let me pan down and then we'll get to what I do. So I already showed you the ESD check. Now I'm gonna have to take it apart because I already went through that. I would not. You need to be careful, especially with the older tube style televisions. You want to be careful because you can get zapped and you can potentially die. Especially the older televisions, they're even more dangerous, the tubes. You do not want to touch the tube with any kind of a metal. You need to allow you don't want to unplug a television and then immediately start working on it. You want to at least give it 10-15 minutes, a half an hour. The older, I haven't researched it fully. You might want to study the old tube style televisions because they're made a little bit different. Now I'm going to open it up. So I got to get and I also have some green tea. Before I open up this television, let me get my green tea. And this is how, some days, this is how I roll. I come in my office even on weekends. The lady called me yesterday, and then today, and then she asked, well, what are your hours during the week? And I gave her my hours, and then I said, well, I'm also available on weekends. And I said 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. She's like, even on a Sunday? I'm like, yes. She's like, okay, well, I have your address and blah, blah, blah. That just because people call me, even when they try to recycle things, doesn't mean they're going to ever show up. But she did call me this afternoon, and luckily I was here. If I wasn't here, then I would have had to scramble down to my office and let her in. But I was here because I was also helping a customer. So I pay rent. So I may as well use the office as much as I can because I'm paying for it, right? You know what I'm saying? So I killed two birds today. Most likely I'm going to still get paid for my customer that I remotely connected to because they requested it. We may not be able to recover her file the way she wants, but I think she might still pay for my time. Or at least I might get half or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Then plus I did get a television that if I can get it working, I can potentially sell it, or I can part it out and I can help people too. People remotes sell quick on eBay. We're talking, depending on what type of electronics it is, it can sell within days. Usually remotes, if they're older remotes, they might stay on eBay for a couple of weeks, but some remotes I sell within a day or a couple days. Alright, now we can get to it. So I got my green tea steeping and powered off the rice. I used my rice cooker for making green tea also. I just heat it. I use it to heat up the water. So I'm going to take it apart. I've never taken apart this unit. This is freestyled, and I can already tell there's screws around the frame. So I'm just going to go ahead and start disassembling, take out the screws. And then what I do is I reseat the cables, and believe it or not, this works a lot. More times than not, when I get a television, an LCD television doesn't work, I just take off the back cover and I disconnect the cables, like the video cables, and I'll show you the cables. And a lot of times by just resetting the cables, it gets the television to work. But I don't know for a fact if this will work this time. There we go. Pretty easily. There we go. That's why. Okay, so I had to take off the base, which is really light. Some of these are heavy because there's 2 screws in the back of the TV that was behind the base. Oh, right here. Right here. There's another screw right here. You see where the component connectors are? RCA. There's a screw. Oh, they just responded again. Let's see, what did they respond with? System restore failed. So here's another example of when you continue. This customer, I actually have empathy, because when it comes to, revisions, file revisions, and you're working on a document, I've done it before myself, and you accidentally delete out text that you wanted, and then when you save the file, it can be too late. There are ways around it. I could make a video about that in the future. I have empathy for that because that's kind of how computers are, you know what I'm saying? However, when it comes to relying on Microsoft Windows, it's just, again, when you continue to rely on Microsoft Windows, System Restore failed. So she had restore points. She had multiple restore points, but I probably should respond back, because you know what? I might be able to fix System Restore, but the final screw, I'm pretty sure is right there. So let me quickly respond to them, because sometimes you can fix System Restore on Windows, operating system, by running check disk and SFC scan. Okay. Some customers just, me as a computer tech, I use logic, 100, well, not 100%. Sometimes I get emotional, but I only get anger. The only emotion I have is anger. I don't give a shit about the other emotions. Anger is good sometimes. Just depends on if you can channel your anger. Now, me as a computer technician, it depends on how important data is. But I will, whatever it takes to try to resolve an issue. But some customers just say fuck it, and they've had enough. And it depends on, is the data worth it? Is the file, when she changed it, the revision, is the revision important enough for her? Or I don't know if it, I don't even know if this is a female. Well, you know what, I do know, but yes, I don't necessarily want to talk about that. But when you have access to a customer's computer, you know, obviously you see things that, you know, blah 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 blah. Yeah, I think it is a female, but whatever. Is it valuable enough for her to spend this the rest, you know, running check disks, running SFC scans? All right, so let's get to this now. This one always, I don't know why, I always overlook the screws near the connectors. I don't know, every single time I take apart one of these televisions, I overlook like a dumbass. Let me put the screw down in a pile so I don't lose them. There we go. See, I told you that was the last screw. See, that's another thing you want to be aware of when you take apart computers and LCDs, is just take your time, don't get emotional, be patient, because you don't want to start tearing apart. You don't want the plastic to break, and you know what I'm saying? At least I don't, because I want to keep this television as new as possible, because if I am able to fix it, I'll just sell it. Okay, the other end is having a problem, so I just need to, I don't want to break anything. All right, there it goes. So I got the back cover off. Wow. And I've got the rest of the LCD. So let me prop this up. And let me prop the cover over here. Now another thing, it does come with the wall mounts, but I've never mounted a television. I think you still need the brackets that would hook, you would screw into the wall, but the television itself does come with wall mounts. So I might be able to sell the wall mounts individually. I just don't know if I do have to part it out. Okay, so we got the television, and you know, I'll probably set it. Let me try to move my condenser mic a little bit. I can even pull it out. It's got a decent length cable. Okay. So this one is pretty sparse. There's not much to it. There's only a couple of boards. This is the power board. The reason why I know that is, let me try to pan down the camera. This one was real easy to tell. I can't. Let me see if maybe I can flip it. Yeah, let me flip it. Alright, there's the circuit board. The reason why I know it's a power board is because this is the connector where you plug in the power from the wall outlet. So this is the power board. And now let me flip it again. There's a speaker here. There's two speakers. And this is the button board. There's a circuit board for the buttons, the power buttons, and the volume and the channel. That's it. There's only three main boards on this. This is small too. These boards are small. This is really a simplistic television, but whatever. It's only like 5 or 6 years old. And then underneath this metal is going to be the LCD, which she did not say the LCD was cracked or failing, so I'm not even going to fuck with that. What I do is I reset these cables. You notice this cable right here? I unplug those. There's another one right here. So let me show you the other circuit board. This is the TV tuner board, or the tuner board. here's a coax. This is where all the connections are, and it's also the tuner. And then underneath here is another board. That might be the backlight board. That might be failing. It's probably, in my opinion, I don't know for a fact yet, but probably the power board that I showed to you right down here, the power board, or this board. The backlight board, the backlight just gives light for the LCD, hence the word backlight. They fail quite a bit. So all you would have to do is replace the backlight board. Or if it's the power board, you might be able to solder these boards. I don't solder, excuse me. I'm not a solderer. I don't know how to solder. So, but you might be able to get out a multimeter and try to find out where there is a fault. You know what I'm saying? If not, you'd have to replace the whole board. There is copper on those boards. Now, I sell those boards. I've sold them before. I have to make sure that they're working though. So you have to tell you know what I'm saying? Okay, so that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disconnect the cables, and I think I'm going to move this television back behind me a little bit, and then so you can see what I'm doing. But I pointed it out right here. You see these connectors? I disconnect as many as I can. The ones that are easy and that are most likely power. Some of these, like this, you see this one? How this is more of this is a video type cable. I don't disconnect that normally. Especially some of these you can break off easily, or some of these are harder to get off. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to disconnect cables because it could still be a power surge. It could be an ESD. And I swear, more times than not, when I perform this, I disconnect all the cables, reconnect it, and boom, the television powers on. Nope. So how about okay, let me get my green tea real quick. The customer hasn't responded. She might not want to fuck around anymore. I mean, it all depends on how but I will go. I will spend as much time as I can to help out a customer. I really do. Let's see, it's been like, what, 2 hours now since, and so I would be willing to help her run a check disc and a SFC scan, but she might be at the point of just fuck it, it's not worth it, you know. But anyways, so let me get my green tea stirred a little bit and drink a little bit of it, and then I will start disconnecting the cables, and hopefully you will be able to see what I'm doing with the camera, and I'll try to zoom in. It's zoomed in as much as possible. Okay, so I've got my green tea, as you can see. Let me just take a couple sips. Okay, I'm just going to start disconnecting cables, and hopefully you can see which ones I disconnect. Ah, damn it. Ah. There it goes. There we go. And this one. There's that one. See this one. Stupid. Do that. There it goes. That one. I think I'm gonna fuck with that one. Over here. There's that one. Here's another one. There's that one. And video board. Yeah. Let's go with that one anyways. Maybe not. This one I definitely want. Ah, come on. What? Let's try this. There it goes. Okay. Some of them were a pain to my ass. But now there's another speaker cable. I might not disconnect it. It's going to the last one that I had problems with was so small, and I didn't want to break the cable. And it is the power cable to the LCD, so I didn't want to break it and fuck it up. So that's all I do. I disconnect the cables. I might disconnect the cable to the speaker anyways. I might try to disconnect the cable, the VGA cable, if it's not too difficult. I don't want to break it, you know what I mean? That one was easy. Okay. Okay, so the VGA cable wasn't as easy. They're not all the same. You have to pinch in on the end. You have to take your fingers and you have to press in on both ends. Press in and then pull out. Not all the cables are the same. Some of them are kind of weird. So that's it. So I've got all the cables disconnected. I can even try to show you. Let's see this one. You see, some of and you notice how they got little clips. They've got releases on them, and you have to do it the right way. If you do it wrong and you start pulling, you might break the clips, the releases, and even the cable will pull out. And you know what I mean. So here's one of the speaker ones, very small. And that's all I do. So as you might be able to tell, I've got all kinds of cables disconnected. This one right here, this was the video cable, and there's two. You have to press in on the ends with your fingers at the same time and then pull out. It came out pretty easily. But you have to do it the right way, because especially with these are ribbon cables. With the VGA ribbon cables, they're easy to break. And then here's a power. Then there was the power to the LCD was right here. That's it. Now I'm going to just reconnect the cables, and just make sure you don't forget any. And then I'm going to try to plug it in and power on and see if it'll work. Let's see. Okay, this one was real easy because they're the circuit boards are small. There's only 4 of them. If you want to get technical, there weren't that many cables to disconnect and reconnect. They're much easier to plug back in, and I always make sure that both sides of the cable are tight. I just press in on both sides just to make sure none of them are loose. Now I'm going to plug it in and see if it'll power it on. I've got my remote It's not doing anything, so it's probably it's most likely, you know, a failing. Something's failing, obviously. Well, you win some, you lose some. Let me go over the model. I should have went over it at the beginning of this video. I will include it in the blog post, so you might want to read the blog post that's linked to in the description box of this video. It's an LG. The remote model number is AK8737-15608. Let's see what model television it is. Let's see, here we go. I can even try to show it to you. Oh, it's upside down. It is a 47LN5400. But the more specific model, yeah, that's the specific model number. 47LN5400-UA. It looks like it is a, I would say it's most likely a 37-inch. I can quickly go to Google. You know what I mean? I was able to carry it. It could, now another thing I could try is the power cable. I don't know if I have another one like it. I might have another one. I mean, it is worth a shot, but most likely not. It's a 3-prong power cable, as you can see, with a different type of a ground. So it does have a separate grounding circuit, grounding post. So I might have a 3-prong power cable. I think, let me see if I can, I have one right here. Here's another, here's a 3-prong power cable. Are they going to be close enough? Yep, they look like it. And then also this has a separate ground prong, as you can see. So they're almost the same, and it's basically the same type of a cable, so I'm going to try it. Most likely this is a good cable, but you just never know. Okay, now the customer responded back, and so I will give her instructions. Well, let's see. Let's try to finish this video. It won't take more than a second. So I've got another cable, and I'm pretty sure that should be the same size. So we'll put this one to the side. Nope. The remote doesn't do anything. There's no indications that the television is getting any power whatsoever. No indication at all. So let me zoom back out. And I can't, this won't let me just zoom out with one stroke of a key or anything. So, okay, that's about the way it was originally. Oh, let me pan up to where it was originally. Okay, and then let me zoom back out. Alright, well, you win some, you lose some. Let's see. I guess I'll just close her. I'll respond to her here. She took about 27. Yeah, about 10 minutes. Alright, let me close out the window here. And then let me fire up Google. And I was going to look something up. What was I going to look up? Oh, I'm just curious. That can't be a 47-inch television. There's no way. Let me move back the condenser mic. Okay. Alright. So it was a LG Oh, it might be a 47-inch. It is, I guess. Wow. It just, to me, it doesn't. I'm looking at a 37-inch, and let me see. Okay, and then yeah, I guess so. It was so small and so lightweight that I was like, this can't be a 47-inch, but actually it is. It's an LG 47LN5400 46.9 diagonal 1080p LED TV. It was $700 new, looks like it might have been at one time. It just didn't feel that large. It wasn't that heavy. Huh. Alrighty, well, I could not rectify it. It could be the power board. I hate how this is fucking just either this way or is it this way. It just drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. I could get out a multimeter and try to test. The problem I'm going to have now is I don't want to sell these boards without testing them. Now sometimes I get televisions where it's just the screen doesn't work. You can tell the backlight works, but the screen is cracked or the screen just doesn't work. And then in those cases, then I just sell all the parts. The screen is hard to sell, but I sell all the circuit boards. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I've got a cluster of circuit. These are backlights. Believe it or not, there are two backlights. They're huge. They connect directly to the. This was an older television. This is a heatsink from an LCD. Here's another board with a heatsink. Here's a board. Let's see if I can find a power board for you. This is the connector board on an older television. Okay, really quickly. Here is a power board. I know it's good because the screen cracked. So this is an older power board, but yeah, I can sell these. Here is a video board. So it's got all the video connectors, RCA, composite, HDMI, blah, RCA, blah 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 blah. I can sell these, but with this television, I don't know exactly which part is failing. I'm suspicious it's the power board because there is no indicators that this television is getting any power whatsoever, none. You know, so I'm suspicious it could be the power board, but I need to get out a multimeter and test because I don't want to just part it out. But then I don't want to order a power board and then find out that the fucking power board wasn't the problem, that it was another. There isn't much to that television when I showed it to you. There's only a few boards on it. Now, the backlights will fail, but then the say there is no indication that it will even power on. There is no orange light. Sometimes you'll get a flashing orange light, or it'll turn on and the green light will turn on the power button for 2 seconds and then the television will power off. That could be an indicator of a failing power board, or even like a backlight. Usually on these televisions, the video boards don't fail as much. Well, I'm not an expert. It seems like it's usually the backlight or the power board. You know what I mean? So I guess I'm gonna have to study further, research further, and pull out a multimeter and see if I can troubleshoot and figure out which board is failing. And you know what I mean? The television, it looks like it was less than $1,000, so it might not even be worth my time. Now I could sell on eBay and mark the boards as is, but I don't trust eBay. I'm going to make a video about eBay. They are criminals. eBay is a crime syndicate. They only protect buyers. They don't give a fucking rat's ass about sellers. eBay has what is known as not as described. Item not as described. It is a fraud. Any buyer can submit a not as described and then escalate it and open up a case, and I don't want to talk about that. Sellers are not protected on eBay. Even if you mark an item as, as is, no warranty, buyers on eBay can still open up an item not as described and get all their money back and even keep the item sometimes. So this is the end of this video. I might let you know, I might have an update, and maybe when I do try to troubleshoot with a multimeter, or I try to track down what board is failing, I'll make a separate video. If not, I might just have to part out the I hate to part it out because it's in really good condition. And the screen is really good. The problem with trying to sell a screen like that on the internet is, fuck no, I'm not shipping it. You realize how big of a box that I would have to get, and I would have to, it depends on how much you pay, or depends on the type of LCD. Some of them are very sensitive. You barely touch them and they'll crack. Other ones you can drop. Whereas that type, I would say, is very sensitive. I mean, just the shipping cost alone on a screen like that, who fucking knows? But in all indicate, and then a good thing about this one is there's not that many boards that I have to troubleshoot. Whereas this other television that I parted out, where I got these parts from, look at all these boards. There was like 10 boards. There were two separate backlight boards. There were two separate power boards. There was one main VGA board. There was another VGA board with connectors, on the opposite side. There were smaller little circuit boards. It was like, holy fuck. There was a heat sink. I mean, it's just, adios.